We're going to call this meeting to order. We have a quorum and it's 5:45. The Executive Committee meeting of January 2nd, 2019. And the first item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
So moved.
So I have something to add.
Yes.
So I found some of your recommendations during the last very exciting, and I would like the opportunity to add some to this, discuss them, unless you had another plan. So can I tell you which ones I'd like to talk about? You
Absolutely.
Want to do it at a later date?
Yeah, actually what I would suggest is when we get to our reports to continue to discuss what's on our minds, and then any action that needs to be taken, if it's appropriate to take it next week, or if not, then we won't necessarily have it as, we won't have to make a decision next week if it's something that should be further discussed in committee later this month. But thank you. I'm glad that you were interested in some of the things we talked about last time.
I am. I just want to make sure that I'm able to bring these up at an
Absolutely.
appropriate time. So when would the time for that add them to the agenda now?
I would consider that as part of the, some of that's going to be part of my report and some of it will be part of your report, I would think.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Normally we just ask if there's any additional items from staff or council, and then we go from there, right, Randy?
Yeah, I hadn't had a chance to even say those words, but they
Okay.
are underneath that approval of agenda for additional items.
Okay, that's
Do,
okay.
do we have additional items, Mr. Jorgensen?
I do not, Mayor.
And if we have additional items from council, my concern about adding items to the agenda is if it's something that is not ripened for action, I would hesitate to encourage y'all to make a decision today. If you want to add it to the agenda, obviously, feel free to say that you want to add it to the agenda. But as the chair of the meeting, I will caution you if I think this needs to be something that gets discussed further in committee. The things that I was bringing up in December are things that I hope we do have plenty of time to discuss. So that's my only hesitation, Councilwoman Rice.
And I understand these actually aren't actual discussion. I just got to discuss.
Absolutely. And may I ask that you look in the microphone when you're speaking so we can all hear you.
Okay.
You have a nice, soft-spoken voice, so sometimes people won't be able to hear you.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
On the additional items, if anyone from council needs to add those or add something, after it's added, then we can determine whether it needs to be talked about or pushed on, like you were saying, to committee of the whole or something.
I understand where you're coming from. Does someone have something they would like to add to our agenda of items for action tonight? If it's something you'd like to add as a discussion point, then certainly it's going to be discussed at your councilman report, I would hope.
Sure, I was just saying as normal, if somebody had something that came up out of the blue, since we're in the executive and we didn't have a committee and they wanted to talk about it, then we would go further whether it needed to be pushed to committee or anything else. But they should definitely have the right to bring it up at this time, under additional item.
I do not hear, though, that anyone actually has a specific item to add.
Not this time. I was just saying in general.
So moving on to the next item on our agenda, public hearings/meetings, we do not have any scheduled, nor do we have any recognitions, special presentations, or awards, nor do we have any invited speakers. However, I did receive a document. Someone does want to appear. Mr. Wallace has submitted a form asking for an opportunity to speak. Mr. Wallace, would you like to come to the podium and address us? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium, and if each of you would state your name and address so that we will have a record of your being here, we appreciate it.
I'm Bill Wallace.
I'm Brian Unruh, 4895 Pineview Ridge Road, in Pace.
Would you state your name again? I couldn't hear you.
Brian Unruh.
Thank you. And you, sir?
Hey, I'm Zach Johnson, 4882 Pineview Ridge Road, Pace.
Welcome, gentlemen. Please proceed.
So, like I mentioned, my name is Zach Johnson. I'm the pastor over here at Ferris Hill. And one of the things we wanted to meet with the council about is we've put in a permit to change up our sign over here on Stewart Street. And we've met with the city manager, and we're aware of the code. And so we just wanted to talk through with the city council about variance options and stuff like that. And I'll let Brian share a little bit more about it.
So as was stated, we had, the sign contractor, Sign Crafters Inc. had put a permit request in, and like I said, or Zach said, it met with a little bit of resistance because we
We
had.
are at council reports. If you'd like to vote on it, yes, please vote to move it to committee of the whole. And it unanimously is approved. Moving forward to council reports. Are there any council members who would like to make a report? I think
Mayor, I don't-
Councilwoman Rice had a report.
So this is a little different because it's just things that were discussed, so I don't think it fits under anyone's particular area. But I wanted to know if now was the time that we were going to have the discussion about your committee appointment. Because at the last meeting, it was put out that we would think about it and that we would come back and discuss it further. And there was just something that I wanted to discuss as far as one of the appointments.
Yes, I had asked if each of you would consider accepting my request that you be appointed as I suggested. Do you not want to be appointed?
I do, but I have a comment that I would like to make about one of the other appointments.
Please.
So I'm going to make sure that I'm facing forward for the mic here. And if you'll just bear with me, I have this written out so that I cover everything that I wanted to. So I appreciate your comments that we would take the time to think about it. And I want you to know that I spent a lot of time thinking about this. So I want to discuss your appointment to the TPO. I'm concerned about your appointment to the TPO, and that's because of the comments you made on social media regarding the 4-lane, which creates a difficult situation for me, and this is why. Between November and August, I went to a variety of neighborhoods and events speaking with a lot of different people and was told by citizens of Milton that they are not in favor of the 4-lane and that they want to preserve the cute and historic nature of downtown. So for them, the taxpaying citizens of Milton who voted for us, I want to make sure that we have someone in that position that will stand against the 4-lane. I'm a strong advocate of setting people up for success, so I feel it appropriate to let you know my expectation of anyone that will hold this position. The last official stance of the City Council was opposing the 4-lane, and I'm not going to challenge your appointment to the TPO, but my expectation is that you will carry and uphold the will of the council with enthusiasm. So all I can do at this point is give you a pep talk like I would any friend. So I know that you can convey to the citizens, I know that you can convey that the citizens of Milton deserve to have the downtown they want, that is walkable, safe, aesthetically pleasing, with culture and activities. I know you love Milton, and you do not want us to sacrifice ourselves just so someone can get to East Milton or Pace a few minutes faster. It is not wrong to put us first. To DOT, we are just another road, but to the citizens of Milton, this is history and this is home. So you were elected by the citizens of Milton, not by the county, and that may be hard to stand up for, but if you do, I guarantee you're going to have all of the citizens of Milton behind you. So 4-laning, in my mind, is not progress of 2019. That was progress of the past, and today's successful cities are creating destinations and opposing road widening. No business is going to benefit from faster moving traffic. So if you're choosing to be on the TPO, we need you to oppose the 4-lane and challenge DOT to come back with a creative and progressive solution that works for the city of Milton. And if you need someone to stand with you and support you in this, I think between all of us, we can always have someone right there beside you. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you for your remarks. I really appreciate hearing your feedback. And obviously, I'm the mayor for everyone in Milton. I'm not just the mayor for a few. And I have heard a variety of comments from people as I was campaigning as well. So I appreciate that you have that concern, and I hope that you'll see as time goes on that to the extent you've interpreted my comments on social media as being negative towards the values you stated, then I hope you'll come to understand that I appreciate those values too.
Okay?
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
does that mean you stand against the 4-lane?
Well, whether I stand against the 4-lane or not is not the question here. We're
Yep.
talking about the TPO appointment.
Well,
Whether-
actually it is. It's the major thing that's going on with Highway 90, and it's basically either you're for it or against it.
If y'all are asking me to state whether I'm for it or against it, what I'm going to tell you is I'm for complying with the law and being practical. And if it's beyond our control, if we're not able to control the outcome of the 4-lane,
That's
then
not true.
it
Can you
doesn't
prove
matter
that?
whether I'm against it or not, Mr. Snow.
Can you prove that? Why does the FDOT do a survey and it comes back 80% that are against it?
Sir, what I would like for us to do is recognize that the PD&E study is going to be released in February. And at that point, we're going to find out what that study has provided so that we can determine what is the list of practical options that we as a city have. So that then you as the council can discuss that report, discuss what you think is best for the citizens, invite the citizens to provide their feedback, and then y'all
That's
can...
already been done.
Sir, may I finish?
Yes.
Thank you. So what I'm asking for is for you to recognize, first of all, that some things are going to be beyond the control of this council. As your mayor, I will certainly advocate for what the council asks me to do. I know that issue has come up before. In the prior council, when Mr. Meese was our mayor, I know that the council and the mayor had to have those discussions as well as to, this is what the majority of the council wants. Mr. Mayor, will you represent our point of view? I respect that that is an issue that we will have to discuss as the time goes forward. At this point, as your TPO representative, I am not tasked with going to a meeting before the PD&E study to advocate for a particular position. So I do think that we have time to review the study results and decide, as a city, you can decide, what does this study say? How does it impact the people? And then you can make a decision by virtue of a resolution and ask me to go forward with it. But this is a new council, so I think it is not necessarily the case that what this council discussed prior to the election still holds true for a majority.
Well, we can make that happen next week.
You can, but wouldn't it be premature when the study hasn't been released and will not be coming out until February?
Where this committee stands has no bearing on what they're going to come out with. And to sit and state that we have no, everyone wants, or not everyone, a few people want to state that FDOT is going to do what they want. Technically, at the end of the day, can they make that choice? Yes, they can. But for anyone to say that public opinion and a city council's opinions don't matter, I think is totally incorrect. If that's the case, I just saw where they're asking for more public survey on Highway 98. So they do care, but we need to do everything in our power to stand against the 4-lane. And I believe what Councilwoman Rice is asking is if you're willing to do that.
Well, sir, if I can just say, I'm not saying that the council's opinion doesn't matter. I believe Councilman Powell has a remark.
Yeah. Thank you
Sir.
so much. I think the question really is if the mayor will support what the council puts forward as the opinion of the council. And it sounds like to me that she's saying that she will. And I think she was saying that her opinion, as to the relevance of her opinion, is that she's waiting on the council to make a decision once there's a decision needed to be made. So I appreciate the concerns being stated, but at the same time, I do believe that in the mayor's position, no matter who the mayor is, their position is to carry out what the council passes. I think that's what the mayor is trying to state.
Thank you. And just so you know, I'm not saying that the council's opinion doesn't matter. I'm saying that certain things are beyond the control of the city. So let's find out what the study says in February, and then I would suggest that you make a recommendation on a resolution. Because one of the concerns I have, and it's a concern that was reflected back to me as I campaigned, is that the council should not be hasty in making decisions that affect the people. The council should make decisions after careful study and after being fully informed by those with subject matter expertise. So for you to make a decision...
I feel like we have.
May I finish?
Mm.
Thank you. So what I'm asking of you, Councilman Snow, is that rather than react to what my concern is by saying we'll make a decision next week at the city council meeting, wouldn't it be wise to be fully informed with the results of the PD&E study in February and then ask the council to consider a resolution to inform me and my role as your TPO representative?
Well, the council, of course, part of it is not, doesn't exist now, but the council has made a statement of where we stand at. Randy, have we continued to send the letters that we directed staff to continuously let FDOT know where we stand at?
Yes.
Okay. So there's nothing, I'm sure if we should do whatever it takes that this council has been put in charge of to save our downtown and our historic. It would be nice to have the mayor on board with.
Well, I caution you to not conclude that I'm against preserving the historic character of downtown Milton.
Well,
So I don't believe that any of my social media remarks can actually mean that I'm not in favor of protecting the historic character of
it's a
downtown
simple
Milton.
yes or no to me. Okay.
Can I please say something?
I'm not
Mayor?
interested in arguing with you about
I'm
it,
not arguing,
Councilman
it's
Snow.
just a discussion.
It seems that
Well,
it seems that it's not remaining a discussion. I appreciate your concerns. That's what I hope you'll hear me say. I appreciate your concerns. I appreciate Councilwoman Rice's concerns. I appreciate that Councilman Powell is hearing what I'm saying, that I want to be responsive to those concerns and be your advocate. However, I caution you, before you make a decision, if you are going to have an opportunity to be further informed by the results of a study, then it only makes sense as a wise leader to be fully informed and have an opportunity to review those results. So it was my approach that until this meeting tonight, it was my belief that all of you actually agreed with that concern, that we should be waiting and watching for this result in February so that you could be fully informed and you could guide me and this city forward. I think Councilwoman Holly has a concern, and I see Mr. Compton would like to make a remark as well. Councilwoman Holly?
I agree with Councilman Powell. I think this has turned into some type of debate tonight. It needs to stop. Nothing can be done about it today. You are the TPO representative. You're the mayor of Milton. You represent everyone in the mayor in the city limits. Not just council, but all of our constituents and our business owners.
Yes.
So you're doing the right thing, and until we can get back some facts set in front of us, I think the dog and pony show needs to stop.
It's not a dog
I
and pony.
have
Mr.
something
Compton.
that I would like to add.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilwoman Rice.
So we have meetings, TPO meetings before February.
There is one meeting between now.
So
And
how
March.
will you represent us until that meeting, that we get those results back?
Well, there's no action for me to take as your TPO representative until the next meeting.
But as you interact with other people at the TPO, will you be carrying what we want with you?
I suppose it confuses me that you're expecting me to have opportunities to be meeting with TPO members to discuss this issue.
Well, if you discuss in a meeting, if you discuss.
Let me just say, too, that it's obvious from what Mr. Jorgensen has said that the letters that council directed him to send are continuing to be sent. I have not asked him to change course on anything that this council has directed him to do.
Okay, and then I wanted to say that we can challenge what DOT comes back with. And we had some merchants here in Milton that challenged the intersection at Glover and 90. So, and that was just a few merchants, so we can challenge.
Ma'am, I hear what you're saying, and I want y'all to understand that I do not see the executive committee meeting as an opportunity to debate these things. I see what you're saying as a very important point of concern on your mind, and any important point of concern that should come before this council for a vote should be discussed in full at a committee meeting. That is the committee of the whole.
This is a committee meeting, Mayor.
Sir?
Executive is just as another meeting, extension of the committee of the whole. These are the places that we can talk about it, and it's appropriate to talk about them in this situation.
Rather than argue with me about it, Councilman Snow, if I may be permitted to continue as the chair of this meeting, and then I'd like for Mr. Compton to have a chance to speak since he's been waiting so patiently. The point I am
yes.
attempting to make, sir, is that the most orderly process for getting work done in this city And there's an orientation that's coming up to fully brief you, as I don't believe you ever experienced the orientation after you were first elected. But the actual way this city works most effectively is if we have a lengthy meeting where we can discuss issues in depth. By the time we have an executive committee meeting, that discussion should have already occurred. So in other words, this committee meeting is really not the appropriate place for a full in-depth discussion of a concern. It's actually a place to identify concerns, as you've done. And you hear me hearing your concern and asking that it be further discussed. And that's the kind of action that gets taken at an executive committee meeting. Mr. Compton, please proceed.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. I'm Vernon Compton, 5149 Santa Rosa Street. First, let me say, I know that you, the mayor, and each one of the council people here, you all love the city of Milton. So this debate about Highway 90 is not an easy one because people have different opinions on it. But I do like the proactive way in which the city moved forward when merchants on Glover Lane came forward and said DOT was trying to do something in their mind that was correct too. It was addressing a safety issue, crashes, and it's a very dangerous intersection. But they were realigning a road that really alarmed the merchants on Glover Lane. So the city actually was very proactive on that. DOT, they are the subject matter experts on that. And they came forward with a plan that to those merchants on Glover Lane, even though it addressed the safety issue well, it really didn't fit the best needs of that part of Milton. And then I would say pretty much everyone agreed to the city of Milton as a whole, because we didn't put it as downtown versus Glover Lane, or we just tried to look at what's best for the city overall. And that was one of the issues where being proactive and taking a stance and going back to DOT and saying, I know you haven't completed everything yet, but we don't really feel like this is the right way to be moving forward. I think that's all that Councilwoman and Councilman are both saying is, how can we be more proactive on this ahead of time? It's not saying that we won't listen to DOT. It's what is the best interest of the city right now? And that's, to me, a very comparable issue as Glover Lane.
I appreciate that, and I agree with you. We should be able to be proactive, and we don't just blindly defer to one entity. We want to make sure they hear our
Right.
concerns. I completely agree with that, and it's my profession to be an advocate for my client's interests, and I consider every citizen in Milton my client when it comes to this issue. So I certainly want to advocate for everybody, including your concerns, Mr. Compton. I know you live right here in the city. I
Right.
get to see your house every Sunday.
Right.
So what I think makes the most sense is, because there is a concern about the February meeting coming up, why don't we allow this to be a discussion point at the committee of the whole to make sure that what the council's concerns are, if you want to continue to expand on that on January 17th, if you're here, if there's something that this council or any member of the public wants to be sure that I know and understand before the February meeting, I would love to hear about it, but I don't think tonight is the right time to get into it in depth. I'd like to have a chance to better understand it rather than tonight. I'd like to hear about it more on January 17th. So that's what I'm asking. I'm not asking to not discuss it. So I appreciate what you've said.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Is there any other comment from council about this?
Yes.
Councilwoman Johnson?
Yes. Several things have been discussed tonight in reference to the movement from FDOT, whatever is to be expected. I do agree that we do need to consider what is best for the city. And I think we all are on the same page there. But I do think that it's prudent to wait for the findings. Let's see what they are saying, because as you said, we can always come back and challenge that. But you do need to see what the core information is. We don't know. Maybe they are with our thinking that we thought many, many months ago. But I think it'll be very premature and not a wise decision to do something tonight that we don't have enough information on to act. And I appreciate everybody. I respect everybody. but I think we need to wait, because I do think that we have a body that represents the citizens out there. And we certainly want to be effective in that. And I do not think that one person or two person would go against the rule of the council. But we do need to have information.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Jordan, did you have a comment?
I just wanted to make a motion that we end this discussion and move it to committee of the whole.
If everyone's in agreement, can we further discuss this on January 17th?
I have something else to say.
Proceed.
As far as, I don't think we're trying to, I think we're just discussing the 4-lane. We haven't tried to push anything to make a vote unless we had to for the next one. I'd just like staff to be proactive again with the FDOT of what we've stated in previous council meetings and make sure that we reiterate our position on that. As far as what I want to talk about is saying that handcuffing this council, saying we don't need to bring things up at the executive and talk about it, I think is totally incorrect in handcuffing this council. So we try to bring everything up at the committee of whole. We've had this discussion before. I don't think it's proper, but if there's something we need to discuss at the executive, it's another extension of the committee of the whole, and I think we need to keep that door open when necessary. Thank you.
I certainly do not intend to close off people taking the opportunity to identify a concern. The logistical organizational suggestion that I think makes the most sense is that when you identify the concern, then let's flesh it out at the committee of the whole so that there's no premature action taken before an item can be fully studied. That is what I'm saying, Councilman Snow. I appreciate your concern. Thank you. Now,
Mayor, I would just add to that, in most of the time that is done, it's pushed to the committee of the whole, just like numerous, I'd say 90%, if not more, of items are always pushed to committee of the whole when it's agreed. But when it's a little of if it's a bit of a touchy subject, then it needs to be addressed in the executive or committee or even in the council meeting, it needs to be addressed.
I hope that this council will always address every issue in the public interest for the public good of Milton, and I am going to do my best to facilitate that. I believe the question's been called. I ask for a vote. Was there no second? Who seconded, please? Will anyone second?
I will.
We have a motion.
Discussion?
We have a motion and a second to call the question. Vote on calling the question, please.
This is to forward
to the committee of the whole for further discussion. To end discussion on this for now. Okay. The motion passes. Is there any other council report?
Sorry.
Councilwoman Rice, did you have further remarks in your report?
Just another question. You had talked about an appointment for someone to review the charter, and I wanted to know if, and I'm sorry, because we didn't have a committee of the whole.
Right, exactly.
So, and I told you, I'm really excited about this.
I'm glad.
Already. So, are we going to accept applications on that? Or who would be the best person for that to review the charter?
Well, what I really think, what I hope people understand is my intention, is that rather than people deciding to review the charter, the goal is that there be a discussion of a citizens-led committee to determine whether the charter should be reviewed, whether the charter should be changed. Not to actually change the charter necessarily, but to make a study of whether our current charter serves the city well. And if there is a recommendation to make a change, then that citizen-led committee, guided by Councilman Powell, would make a request to this council that there be changes made to the charter. So certainly, if you are suggesting that there be applications taken and staff has time to take those applications, that I have no objection to that. My thought was that each council member would have a suggestion of a person, a citizen in this city, someone who's a resident here, who would have a vested interest in that discussion. I also do believe, too, that it would be wise, prior to any meeting of these residents of the city, that they be educated by the Florida League of Cities historian or someone she designates on what city charters have been evolving to in the state of Florida. This is where I actually got the idea of a citizen-led committee, was from this historian. And I actually had an opportunity to speak to her when I was still city attorney. So I would like for her to have an opportunity to speak, or if she's not available, someone that she can designate to help the citizens, Councilman Powell, this council, and city staff look at this more deeply.
Okay, so then I guess my question is when are we going to move forward with that and the Merchants Association?
So I would think that if people want to make a suggestion for someone to be on the citizen-led committee for their charter review, that they could make those suggestions tonight, or they could wait till January 17th. Also, as far as the Merchants Association is concerned, Ricky Downs and I will be meeting tomorrow. I met with another business owner earlier today, and I'm hopeful that other business owners have been in contact with each of you since I brought this up in December, so that there could be further discussion on how to build this. One thought that was presented was, you know, we have business licenses for every person who has a business in Milton. So democratically, each one of those individuals who has a business license would have a voice in the Merchants Association, and they could select a board of people who have experience, who have businesses that have some history, and then that board would meet and make sure that people in the city who have businesses are being heard, and they could make a presentation at this council to make sure they have a voice. Because the reason for the Merchants Association, in case I wasn't clear before, is when I was campaigning, many times I heard from business owners, we don't feel we have a voice. Many of them said, I don't live in the city, so I can't vote. How do I have a voice? And so, because we can't change the law to give them a vote simply because they have a business, because you have to be a resident of the city of Milton to vote on elected officials, then this is a way for the business owners and operators within the city of Milton to make sure that you as council are making your decisions after being informed by their concerns. They also can, I hope, generate some momentum on suggesting to this council future decisions on development ideas, on ways to make the city as business friendly as possible, because we have a perception problem. People think we're not business friendly. People think they don't want to come to Milton. I've had a business owner tell me that people say, we don't want to drive to Milton to do this. Well, there was a special circumstance where they had to come to a Milton business to get something in particular done. And I think that's sad. I was born here, I grew up here and in Pensacola, and I remember in high school hearing my classmates in Pensacola make comments about Milton that were not consistent with what I know about our town. We have a great city, we have a great place to call home, and I hope that businesses who have capital to invest will want to invest here. I hope that developers will want to come here to create new housing developments or restore and revive and beautify current developments so that our city can prosper. We have great schools. We have dedicated teachers. We have a wonderful city staff that are dedicated, that work hard. And all of this council love the city of Milton. There's no reason for Milton to have a perception problem. So my hope is that this Merchants Association can gather that momentum to help change that perception issue, to help us with that, because we can't do it alone. So as far as when it's going to get started, I didn't have a hard deadline on that. I'm hoping that we can continue the conversation in committee. I'm hoping that if you've had members of the business community come to you, I'm hoping you'll bring those names forward or ask them to come on January 17th to talk about it.
Okay.
And I'm excited that you're excited about it. Great.
Mayor?
Sir.
I agree. Unfortunately, in the past, we have been known as, or perceived as not business friendly, and I think we've made great strides in the last couple of years. Shows by the growth of the businesses here. And so hopefully we'll continue and find even better ways to do that. My question on the business committee, are these going to be business owners or managers, or what do you want to, and the only stipulation that, it's not a stipulation, but business owners see the books more than the managers do. Not that the managers don't know all the time, but just wanted to see what your vision was there, or where we need to, either find an owner or a manager or not. Or what are you thinking?
I'm not wedded to a particular vision there. I would hope that the business owners, operators, whoever's coming to you expressing interest, I know that what the people who have expressed interest to me are saying, I would like for them to have a conversation. This is their association. I think the business people who are involved in this should have a chance to craft that vision, and we shouldn't micromanage them.
Oh, no, I wasn't trying to. I was just saying, so it could be a manager or a business owner part of that.
I'm not saying one way or the other. I'd like to hear from them what they think about that. I do think that if you have a business license, then that shows you have a vested interest in a business succeeding. I do think that the individuals who've expressed interest to me are people who have businesses that have been successful for decades. And so I think that those individuals who know what works in Milton have a lot to share. And I hope that they will take the lead and help us figure out how to make this association a vibrant thing.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was any stipulation on who you wanted to head up for each particular business. That's all.
I don't want to be in the business of making stipulations. I want this Merchants Association to be a great thing that our business community grows and builds.
Could it be people looking to come to Milton, those type of business individuals, or not? Because I get a lot of great feedback on they're excited about things that are happening in Milton. Of course, we have room to grow just like every community, but they're excited. I'm excited. Of course, we got the courthouse, some decisions I was talking with our city manager about today, and of where we're going. I think we need to get on the ball with that to proceed later on with that. Not to discuss it now, but
I hope that if y'all have business owners or interested persons in this Merchants Association who've come to you, I hope you'll encourage them to come talk to us on January 17th or talk to city staff. And I certainly will be continuing to talk with Mr. Jorgensen about it to the extent the city can support this effort. That's what I'm hoping we can do. I believe Mr. Jorgensen had a comment.
I do. It's just that the item is listed on the agenda for the 17th. At that time, we were going to provide you with information on how these things are typically formed in communities and give you some options as it relates to membership and let council have the conversation there.
Thank you, sir.
Do you recommend us invite the business owners?
I think at this time, if you have owners of businesses within the community who've expressed an interest in participating, I would ask that they attend, yes.
Okay, thank you.
And if they can't attend because of a conflict, then hopefully they'll fully inform you as a councilwoman or councilman so that y'all can report to us.
Okay.
I have just a question, once again, with the Citizen Land Committee for reviewing the charter. Am I correct in you wanting us to maybe make some recommendation on these citizens?
Yes, ma'am. I was hoping that each council member would consider whether there was a resident of the city of Milton who would be able to get engaged in that process of evaluating what do charters do for cities in Florida, learn about home rule and learn about, what works and what has evolved over time in other cities, whether we're at an evolved point or whether we aren't. Right. And based on what I have learned, we are a pretty evolved charter, but there could be room for improvement.
Right. So therefore, these citizens would have to have some kind of vested interest or knowledge about the charter.
I think that would make them the most useful member, but if they're just interested and they want to learn, I don't see any reason why they shouldn't be allowed to participate.
Right. Well, that's true too. But I know at least we need some of them in a structured environment that I have some knowledge already about the charter, or maybe those that does not have knowledge, they would have some interest to find out. Because once again, we want to make sure that they are proposing some type of educational opinions or ideas.
Yes, ma'am. That's why I was thinking the historian from the Florida League of Cities would help with that process, because even if you have an inexperienced but enthusiastic resident of Milton who would like to get involved, they could get informed by this information from the Florida League of Cities. And, I mean, they're a wonderful resource to us, and I think we need to get their help when we can.
Mayor, if I could?
Yes, sir.
I might ask that each member of council who has the name of an individual that would participate in this process, please provide it to Pam prior to the 17th. We'll give you a listing of the names provided at that time.
That would be great. Does anyone have any concern with that plan? Okay. Councilwoman Rice, did you conclude your remarks? Okay. Did any other council member have a report or question, concern?
Mayor, I just have a question. Would you be against me being an alternate for TPO in case you can't make it?
Sir, I actually had already decided to appoint Councilwoman Johnson as my alternate, because since she is the mayor pro tem and she would be the logical person to be there. I know you've been to those meetings, so I hope you'll continue to go so that you can continue in the conversation.
Thank you.
And Ms. Mayor,
Yes,
I will
ma'am.
accept. I would accept if you cannot attend, and I will attend.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Are there any other council reports? If not, then I'll move to the mayor's report. Have some exciting things to share. You may have already been updated, but we had an opportunity to jump right in to seeking support for funding for the wastewater treatment facility, which is being named the North Santa Rosa Regional Water Reclamation Facility, because that more accurately represents what it's supposed to be doing. It's not just a wastewater treatment plant for Milton. It has a bigger impact. And so I was able to give a synopsis of our approach to our legislative delegation, and they were very warmly receptive to it, especially, well, really all of them. I know I appreciated that warm reception. And in fact, some of the feedback I got after the meeting was, well, your project's definitely the favorite. I don't know if it is or not, but it was nice to know that some people felt that way, because we need this. The whole region needs this. It's not just about Milton. It's not just about any one of us. It's about the entire region, because we cannot support continued development without this reclamation facility. And it would help the entire county. It would help the region, because our neighboring counties are not able to develop beyond where they are with regard to I-10 in particular. Particularly, too, Whiting Field. I mean, to support the military mission, we have to be in support of this facility. So I've been very excited to get to advocate on this. I was also excited that a member of the governor's transition team contacted me and asked me for more information on the project. Mr. Jorgensen and I worked together on a white paper to submit. I've shared it with you, or asked Ms. Haddon to do it, and she kindly did give y'all a copy of what I shared with Mr. Hoskins, who said it was shared with the transition team. They met on December 27th. So that's exciting. There's a conversation happening about this, and I hope that that conversation continues to get focus and that we get the momentum we need, because we're going to have to continue to advocate for that funding from whatever source, wherever it's available. And I know the legislature is limited in what it can do for us, but to the extent this infrastructure project gets focus, we're going to be very grateful for that. And Mr. City Attorney, not to put you on the spot, but if there's anything you want to add as our representative in Tallahassee, please share that with us. And if now's not the time, then we'll wait till there is a good time.
No, I'm happy to discuss. Jerry Williamson's the representative for this area. I'm on the Santa Rosa delegation by virtue of the fact that I represent Gulf Breeze, the south end of this county. But all three members of the Santa Rosa delegation, myself, Senator Broxton, and Representative Jerry Williamson, all commented on the fact that this project is incredibly important to this region as an economic driver. This isn't, it might not be, bringing a new company here, which looks nice, but this is a critical component to the growth that Santa Rosa has been enjoying recently. And in order for Santa Rosa to continue to grow, this is a project that is critical to the region. So to see Representative Jerry